have never taken a yoga class before, that is okay. This class is beginner friendly in the sense that I won't just call out the name of a pose and expect you to know where we're headed. I do try to say the pose though, for those of you who are a little more familiar with the practice, so they don't have to wait for me to get all the cues to get into position. Especially our first time through a pose, I will talk a little more about alignment. We repeat poses throughout the class, and so the direction will become less and less, seeing as how you repeat the movement over, you'll sort of get it in your head. You can focus more on your breath and just moving and feeling in your body. This class is structured much like other exercise classes, a warm-up, the bulk of our practice, and a cool down. I do like to point out though, for people who have never practiced yoga before, at the end of our practice, we lay on our backs in a final resting period where we remain still for 2 to 3 minutes, not only letting the benefits of the class absorb into our body, but it's also a time for reflection. It's one of the most important parts of the practice because yoga is not just about what we do in our physical body, it's about what goes on in our mind and our mental state as well. I want to remind everyone to always listen to your body throughout this practice. I do offer modifications, but if something doesn't feel right in your body, you know you best. You can skip it, jump back in when you're ready, take breaks when you need, and always check with the doctor before you start a new exercise plan. If you have a playlist or some music you like to put on, take a second, pause the video, get something started, and then join me back when you're ready. Today, we are going to start laying down flat on our mat. So go ahead and lay down flat on your belly with your head towards the top of your mat. Bring your arms along the sides of your body, palms face up. Bring big toes to touch, let the heels fall away from one another. And turn your head towards the right so that you're left resting on your left cheek. We're going to take a few breaths right here. Maybe even closing your eyes for the first few moments of class. Bring your attention to your breath. Everyone take a deep breath in through your nose, nice and slow. Fill the body up with as much breath as you can and exhale slowly out through the mouth. While you're doing so, let the body melt onto the floor. And just know there's nowhere else you need to be except for right here in this space, taking this class, giving this time for yourself. And while we're seemingly just relaxing on the floor, we're also getting a nice stretch for our neck. Bring your arms up to shoulder height, palms face down to the floor. Bend your right knee, toes facing up towards the ceiling. And come up to the tips of the right finger. Use your right hand to help roll yourself over to the left side of your body, bringing your toes down towards the floor and opening the chest. If you're feeling too much sensation here, don't roll over just as much. But if you'd like a little more sensation, try floating the right arm up towards the ceiling. Another breath or two here. Then slowly make your way back to your belly. Toes touch, heels fall away, arms back at the sides of your body, and head turns to the opposite side. Bringing the attention back to your breath, taking a few moments here, and keeping our sides nice and even. Maybe give a little wiggle to your hips, let them rock side to side. Help release the low back. Then bring the arms back to shoulder height, palms face down to the floor. This time, left knee bends, come up to the tips of the left fingers. Roll yourself on over to the right. And take a few breaths here as we open up the shoulder and the chest. Left hand can come up to the ceiling if you did so on the opposite side. Then slowly roll back to your belly. Bring tops of feet to mat, feet side to side, and hands under shoulders.
Wrists or elbows up to ceiling, chin on the floor. Draw the belly in towards the spine to lift the chest off the mat into baby cobra, shoulders wrapping behind the heart. Gaze is up towards the ceiling. Then slowly lower, chest back down to mat. Again, inhaling, drawing belly in to lift the chest off the mat. Exhale out through the mouth, chest comes down to floor. One more time, deep breath in. Slow breath out. Press yourself to child's pose, bringing hips all the way back to the heels, separating the knees to make space for your belly, and lowering forehead to mat. Arms extended down the length of the mat. If you want a little more stretch for the sides of the body, inch those fingertips forward. If you're feeling discomfort in the knees or the hips, you can rise up to puppy pose. Elbows on the mat, stacked under shoulders, gaze is between the knees. Whichever position feels most comfortable for you. Then slowly make your way to a seated position, sitting in the center of your mat with your legs extended forward. Bend your right knee, placing the foot on the floor, and let the knee fall out all the way down to the mat. Place your fingertips behind you, facing away from the body. Find length through the spine, engage the core. Then hinging at the hips, we'll walk the fingertips closer to the body as we lower into a fold, leading with the ribs, keeping the spine long. The extended leg feels really tight. You can put a soft bend in the knee, bring some ease to the leg. Walk the fingertips back out. Lift right knee back up to ceiling and extend the leg down the length of the mat. Left knee bends, foot to mat, and knee falls out to floor. Lengthen the spine, engage your core, walk fingertips forward into fold, leading with the ribs, gaze down towards the knee. Take a few breaths here. We're lengthening our spines, we're also relieving stiffness in the legs. Walk the fingertips out. Extend both legs in front of you and bring the bottoms of the feet together into butterfly pose. Hands come around to the feet, spine stays long to ceiling, and gaze is still towards the floor. Press firmly into the pinky edges of your feet. The closer the heels are to the body, the more sensation you'll feel in the hips, so it's up to you how little or how much sensation you want to create here. Relax shoulders down the back. Then again, extend the legs out in front of you and swing them behind you, coming into a tabletop position on our hands and our knees, wrists stacked under shoulders and knees stacked under the hips. Leading with the tailbone, round the spine into cat pose, tucking chin to chest, drawing belly in. Then return to tabletop before lifting and arching the spine, gazing up to the ceiling for cow. Again, tailbone leads the way as you round the spine to cat, drop chin to chest. And lift and arch to cow, belly hangs to floor, gaze is up to ceiling. Keep repeating this movement at your own pace. We'll stick with this for another 10 seconds or so. Relieving stiffness in the spine. Working the muscles on the back side and front side of the body. Settle into stillness. Lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Draw belly in to flatten the back. Give me a crunch, drawing knee to chest, rounding spine, drawing belly in, lifting the knee as high as you can to step it into lunge, foot in between the hands. If you can't do it hands-free, grab that foot and put it there. Draw a breath in through nose, nice and slow as you lift both arms overhead and exhale at the top. Right knee stays stacked over the ankle. Thighs are energetically drawing towards the midline of your body for stability. Press down through left knee, find length on sides of the body, out through the crown of the head, square shoulders away from ears. As you exhale out through the mouth, lower fingertips back down to the floor. Extend the forward leg behind you, point through the toes, keep the leg active, then return to a tabletop position. Left leg extends, pointing through the toes, draw belly in, and give me a crunch. Need a chest around the spine, draw the belly in, lift that knee in, and step or place the foot into lunge. Draw a breath in through nose, nice and slow as we lift arms overhead and exhale at the top. Find the length towards the ceiling and tuck the low ribs in. On your next exhale, fingers return to the floor. Extend left leg long behind you, pointing through the toes. And return to tabletop. Lower back into a child's pose, hips to heels, forehead to mat. Or taking your puppy variation, whichever was most comfortable for you. And bring the attention back to your breath. Here's where we finish our warm-up. Deepen the breath just a bit. Appreciate this brief moment of stillness before we pick up our pace. Take a mental note how you feel in your body. And slowly meet me back in a tabletop position, lifting up to the tips of the fingers. Left leg extends behind us again, pointing through toes, preparing for crunch, drawing knee to chest, rounding spine, stepping or placing the foot into lunge. Lift up to just the pointer and middle finger, tuck right toes onto the mat, and lift that knee into the air, sending chest forward, drawing belly in. Step the right foot up to the top of the mat into half lift, flattening the back parallel to floor, hands to shins, gaze is to the floor. Lower to forward fold, bend the knees, drop belly to thighs, arms and crown of head reach towards the floor. Tuck your chin in towards your chest, and one vertebrae at a time, start to round the spine up to a standing position. Taking your time, nice and slow, chin comes up from the chest last. Give me a deep breath in through the nose, lifting arms out at your sides, up overhead, gaze up to ceiling. Exhale, hands together and down through heart center, lowering chin to chest and taking a breath or two here. Lower arms down at your sides, palms face forward, stand nice and tall with purpose, drop shoulders away from the ears. Slowly lift both arms back overhead, gaze up to the ceiling. And lower to fold, bringing hands down through heart center, hinging at the hips, dropping belly to thighs. Bend the knees so belly can touch. Crown of head reaches towards the floor. Rise to half lift, flattening your back, hands to shins. Step the right foot back into a lunge position. Fingertips come down to floor, right foot steps back, and knee lowers down to mat. Top of foot to mat. Draw a breath in through the nose, nice and slow, lifting both arms overhead. Exhaling out through the mouth, returning fingertips to floor. Lift the left arm up to the ceiling into a twist, drawing belly in, gazing up towards the ceiling. On your next exhale, fingertips come down to the floor. Step into a tabletop position. And plant the hands flat to the mat if they're not already. Find chaturanga by leaning forward, shoulders past the wrist, bending elbows, keeping them close to the body as you lower chest to floor, and then the hips. Lifting the chest to baby cobra, using the core to find the lift, shoulders behind the heart, gaze is up. Then press to your chosen rest position, whether that's puppy pose, elbows to mat, or all the way back to child's. Hips to heels. Take a deep breath or two here. And slowly meet me back in a tabletop position, lifting up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Give me a crunch around the spine. Step or place the foot into lunge. Draw the belly in. Lifting up to pointer and middle finger. Tucking left toes onto the mat. Lifting the knee in the air. Send chest forward. Step the left foot up to top of mat into half lift. Flat back, hands to shins. Lower to fold. Bend the knees. Belly touches thighs. Tuck chin to chest and round the spine up to standing, nice and slow. Once you make it all the way up, lift chin from chest and slowly bring the arms back overhead, gaze up to ceiling. Lower to forward fold, hands down through heart center, belly to thighs. Rise half lift, flattening the back, draw shoulders away from ears. Then step the left foot back into lunge, fingertips to floor, left foot steps back, knee lowers to mat, top of foot to mat. Slowly draw a breath in through the nose, lifting both arms overhead. Exhale out through the mouth, returning fingertips to the floor. Right arm lifts to the ceiling into twist, draw belly in. On your next exhale, fingertips return to floor. Step the forward foot back into a tabletop position and plant your hands flat to mat. Lean forward, chaturanga, shoulders past the wrist, elbows close to body, lower all the way down, flat to mat. Draw the breath in as you lift to baby cobra, chest lifts off the mat, and exhale to your chosen rest position. Taking another breath or two here. Use your inhale to meet me back in tabletop and lift up to tips of fingers. Left leg extends behind you, point through the toes. Draw knee into chest, round the spine, and step or place the foot into lunge. Right toes tuck onto mat. Lift the knee, lift up to pointer and middle finger. Step up to half lift, back is flat, hands to shins. Lower to fold, belly meets the thighs. Tuck chin to chest and round the spine, nice and slow, up to a standing position. On your next inhale, lift the arms back overhead. Use your exhale to lower to forward fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale as you sit back into a plank position. Plant both hands down and step back, shoulders over the wrist. Drop knees to mat and lean forward, chaturanga, elbows close to body, lower all the way flat. Tops of feet to mat, draw the breath in, lifting chest to baby cobra, and exhaling to your rest position. As soon as you find your rest position, slowly meet me back in tabletop. Let's keep our heart rate up and plant hands flat to mat. Spread the fingers nice and wide, press firmly into pointer and thumb, and tuck toes onto mat. Lift the hips to down dog. Start by lifting the knees, keeping the knees bent. Send the hips up towards the ceiling, pressing belly back towards your thighs. Move nice and slow so you can keep some of the weight in the hands and gaze between the feet. Take a breath or two here. If you're not feeling enough sensation in the legs quite yet, try straightening one leg and then swapping and straightening the other. And you can play here as you're loosening up the tightness in the legs. Everyone look forward. Shift your weight forward and step or place your right foot into lunge in between the hands, lifting up to tips of fingers. Draw breath in as you step up to half lift. Exhale to forward fold. Try to draw your inhale out as you slowly rise to standing. Then exhale at the top. Bring right arm up to the ceiling, reach through the tips of the fingers, and root down firmly through left foot. Lean over to the left into a side bend, then roll down to forward fold. Belly meets the thighs. Rise half lift, flatten the back. Step your right foot back into a lunge position, fingertips to floor. Bring your hands to your forward thigh, lifting the chest up to ceiling, extending arms up to ceiling into high lunge. Left knee is stacked over the ankle. We're on the ball of the right foot. If you need some ease in the legs here, put a soft bend in the right knee. If you want a challenge here, try lifting up to the tippy toes on the forward foot. If you're on the tippy toes, bring heel down to mat and open to 5-pointed star, facing the right side of the mat, lowering arms to shoulder height. Feet are facing forward. Bring the hands to the hips and turn the heels or the toes away from one another, facing towards either edge of the mat. Feet are pressed firmly on the floor, then bend the knees into goddess pose, sending hips down towards the floor, knees stacked over the ankles. Take a few breaths here. Opening the hips, strengthening the legs, lengthening the spine. Maybe adding a little twist by sliding hands down to the knees and from the belly just shifting side to side. Engaging the core and opening the chest. Everyone straighten the legs, hands come back to the hips, and turn the toes back to face forward. Hinge forward from the hips, bringing fingertips down to the floor. You can bend the knees if you need. Then walk into lunge. Start by turning the left foot forward, hands frame the forward foot, lifting right heel off the mat. Step back in a plank position and lower the knees into tabletop. Lower to chaturanga, lean forward, lower all the way down. Elbows stay close to body. Draw the breath in as you lift to baby cobra, engage the core, and exhale to your chosen rest position. Taking a few rounds of breath here. Use your inhale to meet me back in a tabletop position and lift up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, point through the toes. Draw knee into chest, round the spine, and step or place the foot into lunge. Inhale as you step up to half lift. Back is flat. Exhale as you lower to forward fold. Belly meets thighs. And slowly round the spine up to a standing position. Opposite side, deep breath in through nose, lifting arms overhead, and exhaling to forward fold, belly to thighs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale as you step left foot back into lunge, and extend the arms overhead into high lunge. Whatever you did on the opposite side, you can do the same here. So if you lift it up to the tippy toes, do the same thing. Deep breaths into chest, tuck those low ribs in. And open to 5-pointed star, facing the left side of the mat, lowering arms down to shoulder height, feet face forward. Bring hands to hips, turn the toes away from one another, planting feet firmly on the ground and lowering into goddess pose, bending the knees, not sending them past the ankles. Hips down towards the floor. Take a few breaths here. Adding a little twist if you did so on the opposite side. Everyone straightening the legs, turning the feet towards the long edge of the mat, bringing hands back to hips. Hinge forward from the hips, bringing fingertips to floor. Right foot turns forward. We're walking into lunge and step back into plank. Drop knees to tabletop. Exhale as you find chaturanga, coming all the way flat to mat. Inhale, lifting baby cobra. And exhaling to your rest position.
bringing the focus back to your breath. Taking another mental note how you feel in your body. There are no right or wrong answers, just looking for that recognition and being present in the moment. Inhale as you rise back to tabletop and lift up to the tips of the fingers. Extend your left leg behind you, point through the toes. Give me a crunch, rounding the spine, stepping or placing the foot into lunge. Inhale as you step up to half lift, flattening the back. Exhale as you find your forward fold. Tuck chin into chest and round the spine up to standing. A little slower than you've done before. Just a tad bit slower. Draw a breath in through your nose, lifting arms up overhead. Exhale, lowering the hands down through heart center and taking a few moments here, lowering chin to chest, gazing down towards the mat or closing the eyes, relaxing shoulders away from ears. Lower arms down at your sides. Give me a deep breath in through your nose. Lift arms up overhead. Exhale, lowering arms down by your sides. 2 more times. Deep breath in, arms up. Exhale, arms lower. Again, breath in. As we exhale, lower to forward fold this time. Belly meets thighs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale as you step back into plank and drop the knees to tabletop. Tuck the toes onto mat, spread fingers nice and wide, pressing into pointer finger and the thumb, and lift the hips to down dog. Knees lift off mat, hips up to ceiling, belly back towards the thighs. You're welcome to keep knees bent if the legs are feeling tight. You're welcome to bend one knee and then switch to the other. You're even welcome to try and straighten both legs, pressing heels to the mat. It's important not to lose the length in the spine though, nor lose the breath. Lower the knees down to the mat into a tabletop position. Extend your right leg behind you, pressing out through the heel, toes down to mat. Gaze is down to mat. Draw a belly in, flatten the back, then extend left arm forward into sunbird. Thumb face up towards the ceiling. Don't hold the breath here as we work on our balance. A little wobbliness is normal and also helps you know you're working on your balance. You're putting some work in. Another breath or 2 here. And meet me back in tabletop. Left leg extends, pressing out through the heel. Right arm sends forward, thumb up to ceiling, gaze is down at the mat. Not only are we working on our balance, but we're strengthening our core here. Take another breath or 2 and meet me in tabletop. Lower all the way down to your belly, nice and slow, however you can get there comfortably. Hands come along the sides of body, palms face up, and turn your head to one side so you rest on your cheek. Big toes touch, but heels fall away, just like we started the class. Deep breath in through nose, and as you exhale out through mouth, let everything go onto the floor. Wiggle shoulders away from the ears. And if you want a slightly deeper stretch for the neck, turn your head so you're resting more on your ear than you are your cheek. We're going to take another few rounds of breath right here. Slowly turn your head to the opposite side, starting on your cheek first. Moving to the ear if you're deepening the stretch. Bend both knees so toes face up towards the ceiling. And windshield wiper the feet, let them fall side to side. Another technique to help relieve tension in the low back. Just move nice and slow, back and forth. And slowly lower the legs down to the mat. Turn your chin to the mat and place hands underneath shoulders, pressing yourself into your rest position, puppy or child's pose, one final time. If you're in child's pose, take the rounded variation by bringing arms along the sides of your body, palms face up to ceiling, forehead to mat. Shoulders melt and roll down towards the floor. Nice and slowly make your way to a seated position, sitting in the center of your mat with your legs extended forward. We're slowing down the practice in our movement, so we'll give everyone a moment to get there. Bend your right knee, placing your foot on the floor. If you'd like a little more sensation in the hips, for this spinal twist, you can take the right foot and cross it over to the opposite leg, or the outside of the other leg. However, if the hip lifts off the mat when you do so, I suggest returning to start. Whichever position your foot is in, take your left arm, wrap it around the bent leg, and start to open the twist, turning to face the right side of the mat, placing your free fingertips directly behind you and gazing towards the back of the mat. Keep the spine nice and long. Belly draws in. On the inhale, spine lengthens. On the exhale, maybe you can twist from the belly a little more. Use your next exhale to unwind and face center, straightening the leg so it meets the left. Left knee bends, placing foot to mat. If you cross the foot over on the opposite side, do the same here. This time, right arm holds on, turning, twisting to the left side of the mat, free fingertips directly behind us, gazing out over left shoulder. On your next exhale, unwind to face forward and straighten the leg down the length of your mat. Bend both knees so both feet are planted on the floor. Place hands on the back side of your thighs and round the spine until you're laying flat on your back. Lower arms down at your sides, palms face down. If you can't touch the back of your heels with your fingertips, adjust your feet accordingly. Bend the elbows, facing fingertips up to the floor. Start to press into the upper arms as well as the feet to lift the hips into bridge pose, lifting chin from chest,
holding here, not holding the breath. Then using your next exhale to lower hips down to the floor. Same thing, inhaling this time as we lift the hips off the mat, pressing into upper arms and the feet. Exhaling, sending hips down to the floor. Draw both knees into the chest, feet side by side. Interlace the fingers, hold below the knee, and draw thighs close to the body. If you feel any discomfort on your knees here, you can hold on to the back of your thighs instead. Keep thighs glued to the chest and gently rock side to side, massaging muscles on the back side of the body. Slowly settle into stillness. Extend just the left leg onto the mat, flexing the foot, keeping leg engaged. Holding here for wind relieving posture. If you're enjoying the hip opening today and you'd like a little more, right knee can draw out towards the armpit, still keeping thigh close to body. Draw the left knee back in towards the chest and switch. Hands grab onto left knee, opposite leg extends onto the mat. Feet are flexed. And if you chose to open the hip on the opposite side, do the same here. And release. Left leg meets the right. Draw both knees back into the chest. Place arms along the floor at shoulder height, palm space up to ceiling. Let the knees fall to the right into reclined spinal twist and head turns to the left. A good starting place is knees in line with the hips. If you're looking for less sensation or you're feeling pinching in the back, inch the knees a little lower than hip height. If you're looking for a little more sensation, deeper stretch, inch the knees a little higher than hip height. The left shoulder presses down towards the floor. And seeing as though this is our last pose before our final resting pose, it's a great time to close your eyes and start to turn the focus inward, moving from the physical body and focusing more on our minds. Slowly draw the breath in as you draw both knees back to your chest. Use your exhale as knees fall to the left into reclined spinal twist and head turns to the right. If you chose to make any adjustments with your knees, you can do so here as well. Use your inhale to draw both knees back to the chest and release the fingers, hold below the knees. Once again, thighs close to body. Lift your head to meet your knees. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold the breath at the top. Slowly release the breath out through your mouth and let go of the body so you can lay flat on your mat.
Spreading your arms and your legs nice and far apart. Take up as much space as you can. Close the eyes if they're not already closed. Toes fall out away from one another. Palms are faced up towards the ceiling. Shoulders wiggled away from the ears. Draw a deep breath in through your nose, and as you exhale out through the mouth, let the body melt onto the mat. And keep your focus on your natural rise and fall of your chest. Following the breath to help guide us into relaxation. As you breathe in, imagine you're breathing in a positive energy. Maybe your body is glowing bright with a bright light. And as you exhale, you're releasing things in your body and in your mind that no longer serve you, that are no longer good for you. And if your focus has wandered, bring your attention back to your breath. Begin to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Welcome movement back into your body. Gently roll over to the right side of your body and take a moment of stillness on your side. You can use your arm to support your head if need be. Keeping your eyes closed or your gaze low to the floor. When you're ready, slowly press yourself up to any comfortable seated position. If you're still getting to your seated position, that's okay. Just keep an ear open so you know where we're headed. As always, to finish class, we take 3 cleansing breaths together as one, breathing in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. Today, we're going to add movement to our breath. As we exhale, we'll round the spine, dropping chin to chest. As we inhale, we'll lift and arch the spine, tilting head up towards the ceiling. 3 times through. Let's all start on an exhale, rounding the spine, dropping chin to chest, pressing all the breath we have out of the body. Breathing in through the nose, filling the body with breath, lifting and arching the spine, tilting head up to ceiling, and exhaling out through mouth as we slowly round the spine and drop chin to chest for 1. Breath in through the nose, nice full breath. Find the lift, arch, tilt the head up. Exhale out the mouth, nice and slow. There is no rush for 2. Last time, deepest breath yet. Breathing in, filling up the body completely with breath. And exhaling for 3. Take a second to thank yourself for taking time for yourself today and for this practice. There is a light that exists within me that honors and respects the light within each and every one of you, whether I see you or not. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the class. If you did, a new version of this class is aired every Monday at 8 a.m. It airs at 8 a.m., but you can watch it at any time, which if you're watching this now, you probably already know. If you're looking for something a little more challenging in your body, I do teach a core yoga class, and that is aired every Wednesday at 8 a.m. We have lots of other classes for you to try out, much more than yoga. Try the classes out. Let us know what you think, and I hope to see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of the day.